I'm surprised the amount of ongoing work. How much of it is maintenance work, how much of it is reconstruction. But yeah, I suppose I should be glad. Fill me into the sun, not a smart idea, but unavoidable sometimes. Yeah, I'm pleased to see that there are people with the money and the initiative to keep maintaining the place. Otherwise, if it was left to just slowly decay, it would be a loss to all of us, I think. Speaking as a selfish tourist with greedy eyes who likes to come and take a look at the historic places of the world. Lippe Tower. Oh, the location of Lippe Tower, which no longer stands, is marked out only by irregularities on the town wall. The tower was located on the right-hand side. So, there's something we've lost to history already, because it wasn't maintained, I guess. Or through poor craftsmanship in its original construction, perhaps. But where that crane is, that's where the Lippe Tower used to be. The tower was named after its one-time captain, Herman van Lippe. No, van der Lippe. Built again in the second half of the 14th century. By the mid-19th century, the tower had partially fallen into ruin and partially been demolished. Well, that's a shame. And I was expecting that the story was something like the tower was attacked so savagely by some marauding army or other that that's what caused it to be brought down. But yeah, that was just fanciful thinking. Gosh, can I block out some of this incredibly bright sunshine? It's going to be a day of extremes with the filming. Extreme brightness, overly bright, facing off against extreme darkness, where suddenly half the picture might go black. And this is the Lowenschede Tower, named after the councillor, Tiedemann Lowenschede. 11 smaller gun ports in the parapet. Since the 19th century, there have been residential apartments in the tower, restored between 1969 and 1983 and reinforced on the inside. It must be quite a daydream for some people, the idea of one day being able to live in a medieval old town, to have your own apartment in a tower which is 700 years old, or even in what were the originally the walls of the old town. I'd love to go in and have a look, but obviously there's no way I can do that. If only I knew somebody who owned one of those apartments, that would be fantastic. But I'm not going to be brazen enough to knock on anybody's door or window and say, "Hello, I'm a tourist, can I come and have a look, please?" The hounds would be released and maybe the local constabulary informed of my whereabouts. Just across the road is the train station. So to get some idea, to get our bearings, the train station is about a 15-minute walk from the hostel, which is great if you want to take a train to Tartu, the second largest city in Estonia, for example. Or if, like an Estonian friend of mine, you want to commute from Rapla in a slightly different direction, then yes, suburban commuters are well served by this train station, and it's just beyond the trees over there, so you can see why I chose the hostel that I did for its location. I've been emphasizing that because I do think it's so important, especially if you're on limited time. Fortunately, I am not in a particular hurry right now to race through on a long weekend to see a city I've never seen before and constantly on the go. But there will be some people who come to Tallinn who are faced with that. And if you're one of them, then you really do want to make sure that you've got things sorted out, like the proximity of your accommodation to the ferry port, to the train station, to the bus station, to the airport, or the ease of access to those places. So you can just jump on a tram and get to your accommodation as quickly as possible, and then get around to the places you want to see and visit with ease, at speed, cost effectively, and therefore get the most out of your time in the town. Here we've got called Yalatorn. Yeah, so good old Fat Margaret's Tower and good old Fat Margaret's Hostel. It really does serve for an ideal place to stay at. They're not paying me to promote them, by the way, or anything like that. I'm not getting a discount. It's just for your benefit. I shouldn't make the place too popular, should I? Otherwise, if I come back again, I might find they're completely booked out. As it is, they're so popular that very often they're booked out. But sometimes people want to stay in the old town itself, and that's fine. You might be able to find a nice little place in the old town, but too often, unfortunately, that nice little place in the old town can be overpriced, and it can also be subject to extreme noise after midnight, because obviously people, tourists as well as locals, do like to visit, party and have fun, and that creates noise. And if you've chosen a quaint little place in the old town where you think, oh, this will be a lovely spot to stay, you might get a nasty surprise. Here is what I assume was the main western entrance gate along these western walls, as I'm calling them. I'm so tempted to go in and look at more of the old town right now, but I set myself a target. I had it in my head. I wanted to walk around the walls here, so I've got to try and stick to that plan and keep the old town for either another day or another video that I will shoot on this day, later this afternoon. A few places that, if you want to go there, to the Estonian Healthcare Museum, Estonian Museum of Nature and History, Museum of Applied Art, the port, railway station, the Baltic Station Market, Town Hall Square is directly ahead. Train station across the road there. Access via an underpass because the road's a bit on the busy side. And here we can see how high the walls were built in this spot. Look at that. Imagine approaching, even if you're on horseback, and you're faced with a wall like that. God knows what's being hurled down on top of you by the defenders of the city, but yeah, I wouldn't envy anyone wanting to try and scale that. For some, it's going to be daunting, the idea of just walking up the steps in the 21st century. Never mind trying to scale and storm the battlements. Oh, to look away from the walls, which is probably making me not realise what else there is in the park to see. A body of water. I don't see any ducks. Oh, maybe I spoke too soon. I do see some now. And then we have the ducks being fed. And that's a pretty good spot, you know. Sun's coming up. It must be close on 10 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, it feels like it's going to be a 25, 26, 27 degree kind of day. And that would be a lovely little spot there if you wanted to just have your own packed lunch. Maybe share some of it with the ducks. Stay out of the direct sunlight. And maybe, I say maybe, avoid some of the boisterousness of the old town, but I guess some people like to come here and have wine with their packed lunch and could get a little boisterous themselves. And I can't help but imagine, oh, maybe this was a moat and this was an outer wall, an outer defensive wall, what I'm walking on at the moment. Maybe there was a series of outer defensive walls before you then got to the big one, the extreme one, which was completely insurmountable. It's got that moat vibe, hasn't it? And Bob seems to be a very popular character. What a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful morning. And what a perfect way to spend it. I had a pre-breakfast walk along the coastal path the other day because I thought, hey, that's the perfect opportunity to get out early morning, escape the crowds, go somewhere which perhaps there won't be too many people walking. And so it proved. It was a really, really nice day, a great option. And I think today I've just found another one within such easy walking distance of where I'm staying. So all along I've been thinking, wow, this is so convenient and close. So the minute I do think, okay, I'm really getting hungry, I can head back, and in what, 10-15 minutes, I'll be back where I'm staying. Gosh, they've even got enough space here to fit in a football pitch. May not be a full-size football pitch, but a football pitch nonetheless. And I think from the shape of that tower, I think that is called Herman Pick, or Pick Herman. And whether the Herman is that same guy we heard about back there, what was his name? Herman van... is it Herman van Loenschader? Or could be getting my Hermans mixed up. But I think that tower marks the spot where today the Estonian Parliament building is housed, behind there. And in the past, that was the spot, the location of the original settlement. The tower itself, I think, goes back to the 1100s. And before that stone tower was erected, or the earliest version of it was erected, it was a wooden stronghold going back another 200 years. So for over 1,000 years, Estonians had made that their stronghold, and then later people came along and decided this is a great place to have a stronghold. Took over, built more in stone, and as the whole town expanded over the next 1,000 years, in particular the next 500, 600 years, the old town really took shape, as did the required defences to go with it. Huge, colossal effort, the manpower, I just can't imagine. Full-time job, never mind trying to defend the place or get any other work done. Just getting the stone out of the ground, transporting it, shaping it, building it, making sure it stands up. And these walls, we're just seeing a part of the defensive walls here this morning. And I was wrong, because there is Pick Herman. Similar shape to the smaller tower, but it must be the other one on the far side of it. That looks much more substantial, doesn't it? Okay. So, don't need to completely forget what I said. Just slightly realign our thoughts and eyesight, focus on the right-hand tower, standing there with the flag at the top. So that's Pick Herman. Okay. Learning as I go. They always say, film with your back to the sun, but the problem is, it doesn't always work like that. If I could move the sun around to the back of me, that would be fine. If I had the sun to the back of me, at any point during the day, I wouldn't be able to get the angle of shot to capture these walls. The Redoubt of Gotland. Also known as the Redoubt of Goths, is a fortification which was built by the Swedes during the Great Northern War as a replacement for the never completed bastion of the same name. Gotland is the historic name of the southern part of Sweden. Okay. For those of you who wish to pause and read the full history, please do so. Here's an early photograph. And like with many postcards of Tallinn from the 19th century, you'll see this name, Reval, Tallinn Reval, because Reval was how the city was known over 100 years ago. And Toompea Loss, Toompea is the mound up there, Loss Castle, so Toompea Castle.